Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for tuning into my channel. Remember to sub-watch for more exciting details. Young Sheldon's series final explained. The penultimate episode before young Sheldon's two-part final threw the Cooper family into a whirlwind of grief. George Cooper died from a heart attack just when he, Mary, and Missy were planning to start a new life in Houston, where he'd start his dream job of coaching college football. Going into the final, there were a lot of questions about how young Sheldon would deal with George's passing, Sheldon's move to California Institute of Technology, a Caltech, and transitioning Georgie and Mandy into their new spinoff. It's a lot of ground to cover in just under an hour, but somehow young Sheldon ticked every box off its checklist. The highly viewed two-part final, simply titled Funeral and Memoir, follows the Coopers in a life without George. Family dynamics are all out of whack, and everyone is grieving in different ways. Knowing how these characters turn out in The Big Bang Theory, the young Sheldon final proves that George's death molded each of the characters' distinct personalities in the future. The final has its tear-jerking moments as it reflects on the life George and Sheldon left behind, but it didn't give up the humor young Sheldon is known for. The final doesn't take place long after George's death, but it's not suddenly after either. It's somewhat disappointing, as viewers aren't able to see Georgie's immediate reaction to his father's passing. The family is tasked with arranging George's funeral with the help of Pastor Jeff. As tradition in American society, neighbors and friends bring food and offer their condolences, featuring a Reba McEntire cameo as June. It quickly becomes clear in Funeral that George was the glue of this family. Without George, there's no one to keep a level head and find a compromise between family members that are fighting. Everyone has their own way of grieving George's death. Mary practices religion nearly every day. Missy attacks people and Georgie steps up in his father's shoes. Sheldon explores possible alternate universes where he had a gratifying last moment with his father. It's the only way he doesn't consume himself with regret over that last moment. On the outside, he appears as callous and insensitive towards his father's death, causing a rift between him and Missy. But Sheldon has always processed his emotions differently, which is why he couldn't bring himself to give a eulogy at George's funeral. While Georgie takes care of both of his families, Mary allows grief to overcome her. She spends every waking moment praying or in a church, much to Connie and Georgie's worry. Things get extremely heated when she forces Missy and Sheldon to get baptized to save their soul. Obviously, both of them are against the idea. Sheldon is unapologetically atheist, and Missy doesn't believe a baptism will reverse the damage George's death caused. But Sheldon gets baptized to please his mother. It's Sheldon's way of repaying his mother for everything she sacrificed. In some ways, it's also Sheldon's way of thanking his father for his sacrifices as well. In the two-part penultimate episode, Sheldon was preoccupied with freezing his life in Texas, even though he was moving to Caltech soon to start graduate school. George's new job required moving to Houston, which he, Mary, and Missy felt ready for. Sheldon was the only one against the idea, since he hates change and didn't want the family dynamic to shift. But George's death obviously put a wrench in that plan, or did it? Sheldon's plan to go to Caltech still moves forward, with no objections from other family plans. It was time for Sheldon to achieve bigger and better things, and this is what he's been working toward his entire life. Ending young Sheldon on this note was always the correct move, as it directly leads into his life on The Big Bang Theory, where he feels understood by his own group of friends. However, he doesn't leave without acknowledging that the Texas house he grew up in shaped who he is today. Eventually, Mary sold the house and moved someplace else with Missy, starting a new life. Jim Parsons and Mayim Bialik make frequent appearances in the final as adult Sheldon Cooper and his wife Amy Farrah Fowler. The flash-forwards to the future reveal that the entirety of young Sheldon has actually been Sheldon writing his memoir, which explains why so much of the narration has been heavily unreliable. Aside from his falsely positive description of himself as an emotionally intelligent person, it's nice to know that Sheldon looks back so fondly on his family and the effect they had on his career and life.